Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show, Getcha Some Productions podcast. We are a show that covers everything music related from the first note to the last fan and everything in between. So we cover songwriting, gig attire,
haven't done
gear,
that one yet. I like that. We haven't done that one
gig
yet.
attire.
Gig attire. Okay.
Well, we actually briefly talked about whether you should wear shorts on a gig in the last or one of our last few episodes. So anyway, everything from the first note to the last fan and everything in between. My name is Keith.
My name is Daniel.
And we have a very special guest today, Michelle Green.
Hello,
Michelle.
guys.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me over.
Thanks for coming on.
Dude, we are thrilled to have you on.
Well, it's my pleasure.
We will plug something really quickly. And I think this is episode 89 of our show. It will be available on our YouTube channel and on everywhere podcasts are available. So you can listen to the audio or you can watch the video. We are Reverb affiliates. So if you click the link in the description, it would probably be the top link. You can go shopping for music gear, and with no additional cost to you, you can buy something, and we get a small kickback. So we are Reverb affiliates. That's the only way that we are monetizing this particular show. So if you wish to do it, wonderful. If not, no big deal. But it's actually, Reverb is super fun to browse because there's tons of stuff on there. You have local sellers, plus you have the big box stores and everything in between. So there's lots of cool gear on there. So enough of that. So our very special guest today is Michelle Green. Michelle, would you describe yourself as a singer, songwriter, funk master, soul, how about soul superhero?
I love it. Keep
soul
going.
Queen, soul queen.
It's actually funny that you say it that way, because I grew up with so much criticism about what's your genre, what's your style. If you don't pick one, you can't make it, and it just goes on and on. I am a singer and a songwriter, and honestly, I have songs from almost most like popular genres out there, meaning electronic music, some dance music, some pop music, some more acoustic soul music. I guess right now I'm in my pop, the way I say it, it's acoustic soul pop era, I would say. And looking back at it, I think it's kind of cool. You see how an artist just evolves and develops their own taste and their own colors, and that's their craft. So yeah, it will be acoustic soul pop, and only because after all of this, I always come back to something that has a little bit more, flavor of jazz and some soul, but it always, kind of like it's much more simplified and much more pop and easy to listen to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell us, our favorite question is your superhero origin story.
Ooh,
yeah, like where, and you could go back, go back to your, childhood. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, because actually this podcast is also for us kind of like a networking thing too. Mm-hmm. So we'd like to get to know you in general, plus,
yes,
but also like your musical journey. How'd you get into music? Anything, early experiences that may have been formative, anything like that is awesome. Like tell us where you come from.
I thought you said this was only a 30-minute thing, but okay, I'll be fast.
Yeah,
No,
talk
the
really
year was
quickly.
1980. No, I was born and raised in Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm Israeli, born and raised. My family is still there. Most of my friends are still in Israel.
Mhm.
And when I was 6 years old, my family and we moved to Paris, France, and we came back after a few years. And I was about 10 or 11 when we came back, around 10, I think I was 10. And I was that weird girl who, spoke two languages. And so I befriended other kids who had other languages, which was English. So I picked up about three languages when I was very young. And I've kept them to this day.
Cool.
But I would say that I knew, and sometimes it's weird to hear myself say that out loud, but I knew I was going to do music when I was as young as 5.
Wow.
One of my earliest memories is Mozart's Turkish March. Do you know that one?
No. Oh,
That
I know.
one.
I probably know that from Looney Tunes.
It sounds very Looney Tuny, but it's actually Mozart. And my parents, when I was young, they after kindergarten, after preschool, there was like an activity that that one of the daughters of the teachers would gather some, a few kids and would play the music and teach them about the composers. And I remember that moment so clearly where she played it after she told us about all of them, then she was like, oh, there's a quiz. I'm going to play the music. You tell me which composer that was. And I remember that, she asked by a show of hands and I didn't even wait. I just screamed. I was like, Mozart, I know it. I know it. This is it. And I think that's where it got me, like bad. Like it was a year later, right before first grade, my kindergarten teacher came up to my parents and she said she needs to go to art school, sign her up for art school. She needs this is where she's going. It apparently was much more obvious to everyone else. But usually, when they say about singers, I knew I could sing before I could sing. Because the interesting part about being a singer is this instrument that you have that you already know how to play it without knowing how to play it. You open your mouth and voice comes out and you just sing. Whereas if you want to play guitar or piano, you actually have to go the steps, right? You have to learn music. You have to know how to read music and how to use that instrument. But for us singers, if you're a vocalist, it's there from day one. And so for me, it's been like, that's what it is. It's like a fish in the ocean. This is how I swim. And so I started off in art school when I was 6 years old, and we quickly moved to Paris right after that. And when we came back, I didn't feel like doing that, but I did end up majoring in jazz and classical music in high school, which was great because in terms of musical, like in terms of like vocal techniques, classical training was a lifesaver. And shortly after that, in Israel, there is a mandatory military service, which could be, which could kind of, it's not always the best thing to do when you're 18, because most kids go to college, but we have to go to, we have to actually serve the military, the army, for about 2 years for girls and 3 years for boys. But the cool thing about it is that because it's mandatory, this is where your biggest networking event will always be. I still have some of my closest friends from my military service. And so I served the military as a singer. I was in the military band, which sounds very funny when you say it in English, but honestly, this is where some of the biggest and greatest talents are being discovered, because they know that this is where everyone goes to at the end of the day.
Oh,
And so
there's a long lineage of military career musicians, and especially famous musicians who went in the military and then came out and continued to be or became famous afterward.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
think of it just like as college, because during that time you meet the entire industry, because everyone knows that this is where new talent is going to. And so towards the end of my service, I kind of knew that I wanted to study music, that this is for sure what I wanted to do. but not in Israel. So I applied to Berklee College of Music and actually got accepted. But I still had some time because, you know, till the semester started. And I had almost a year in Israel between me finishing my service and, you know, Boston. And so the year was 2003/4. And this new show on TV came up, and it was called American Idol. And the entire world wanted their own version of it. Every country had their version. And so we had our Israeli Idol. And I just went on the show. I didn't care. I had no idea what I was doing. And like I said, like everyone who just finished their military service that year ended up in those auditions. That's how that's how tight this industry is, from military to TV.
Were you, wait, you were on the show?
I was on the show. Back in
Is there a
2000.
clip of that we can watch?
Absolutely not.
Dude,
Oh.
no.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure there is. Interestingly enough, YouTube is not available. Like some clips are not available outside of a certain country, stuff like that. I've
Okay.
tried, I admit, I have tried to Google myself and YouTube myself several times. I have not been able to find anything from that show. I know it's there. Archives definitely have it. But I have not been able to find it just yet. But it was there. It's there. And I didn't make it that far, but I made it into like a pretty decent, I guess, stage. But the most important thing for me was that it made it very clear that I was not ready for this. I mean, I learned two things from that experience. A, that yes, this is what I want to do for sure. Like this is the thing for me. Second, I still don't have anything to show for it. I am 20 years old, maybe. And I'm on primetime singing other people's songs. What do I have to say? Who I am, who am I as an artist, an actual, you know, and I've been writing and composing since I was 16 years old. But I had no idea where this was going to go. And so I immediately felt that the best thing that I could do was just go and actually get some education. 10 days after the finale, the show finale, I moved 7 suitcases into the dormitories of Berklee College of Music. Because I really felt like I needed to know who I am as an artist. And it took a while. It still takes a while. And that's where I got into more of the acid jazz, funk, the Jamiroquai era, I guess, of my musical life. But yeah, I graduated Berklee. I actually majored in music business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because my parents, who are my dad is a doctor and my mom is a lawyer. What you'd expect. You know what you'd expect me to follow, I guess. And my dad was like, listen, if you're about to do the music thing, then can you just choose something that you can't learn elsewhere? Just choose something, because songwriting you're already writing, performance, got it. There are other things that you can do to get that sort of experience. What can you study there that they do not offer anywhere else? And at that time, music business was not taught like in NYU or Tisch or other music schools that now have a music business program. And I was like, I'll just do that. And honestly, it was fascinating. It is fascinating. And so that's what I graduated from, music business. And after that, I came back to Israel and I auditioned to an a cappella beatbox show, which I did not expect myself to do. But after you come to Israel with all your English music, your American music, which again, I've never written in Hebrew, never. My entire life, I've written only in English. And most of the criticism that I got from A&Rs and record labels was, that's great. When are you going to start writing in Hebrew? Because this is the market. And I said, probably never. So I just kept on doing my thing and kind of expanding myself in the industry into other avenues as well. I've been a voice actor since I was 19 years old. I still voice act and I do voiceovers. It's really fun. I think it's one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life, and I just stumbled on it. I didn't even mean to, and till this day, I still do it.
Can we hear you in any like famous commercials or anything?
Not in America.
Oh,
No, not in America. I do a lot of other commercials for private clients here in America, but I do voiceovers for in all three languages, in Hebrew, English, and French. And in Hebrew, I have countless hours of the most hilarious things you can imagine. Like all the manga, all the funny Japanese shows, all the Disneys.
Wow,
It's
fantastic.
so fun. It's so fun. I cannot even begin to explain.
I feel like when you're doing anime or like manga, one of the things you have to do is like, ah!
So many times.
Don't they do that a lot?
I'm gonna step away from the microphone for just a second, just so that you can understand the volume of how you actually do it. Because if you speak like a normal person, like this, for cartoon, it's not going to work. You have to talk like this, because otherwise nothing would actually come through. You know, those are the real emotions. That's where it is. So think of that level for hours and hours.
No, you got to go into a coffee shop one time and just start talking to like the person across you in that voice. That was awesome.
I want to redo the interview and just have you talking like that the whole time.
Michelle,
honestly, it would be obnoxious after a while.
Michelle, that was a fantastic superhero origin story.
Oh, thank you.
You took us from that class with the Mozart teacher all the way up to doing voiceovers for anime. And everything in between. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And
cool story.
I love doing it.
Cool. So I'd love to get into some of the music.
Yeah.
Because thank you for sending those links. And of course, I only scratched the surface. Listen to most of your later stuff.
Yes.
I listened to New Moon.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And I really like the production on that. And I know there's a lot of process there. And this other song, Wings, that I really liked off of Raising Spirits.
Thank you. Yes, that was my favorite EP.
Yeah, Wings was just this kind of more ethereal. Anyway, I really loved that song too. I really connected with that. But tell us about where you perform, where people can you perform live?
I moved back to New York about 4 months ago. We lived in Columbus, Ohio for a couple of years now. And so I'm still gearing up for shows and everything. But for sure, performing in the city. You'll most likely find me behind a piano somewhere in New York for sure in the next few months.
I was going to ask what instrument you play besides your voice.
I play piano. I mean, my main instrument is my voice, for sure. But this is how I write my songs. I write them on a piano. Nice. And that's the instrument I play.
I liked some of the harmony in New Moon was really cool. I don't know which section to call which, but I liked the bridge section a lot. And then there was a little bit of an instrumental section there that went to another key, or that was, in a like that moved to another chord. That was really hip sounding. So I was really digging a lot of that stuff. I'm a huge jazz fan, and I think there's a lot of that funk. To me, I guess that song is sort of like neo soul funk sort of thing, or I don't know, which I'm totally
to get the horns in there, and
the horns,
vocal runs is very fun.
Yep. Yeah. Let me tell you a story about that one, because that song was not supposed to be out at all. I hated that song. I've been both my EPs, Raising Spirit, that came out in May of 2021, and this new one that's New Moon is the first single from it, were written by me and another very dear friend of mine, who is actually the musical director of both my EPs. So every time you think that something sounds incredible, it's all him. I mean, I give him full credit. His name is Daniel Ori. He is a bass player, but like a real jazz cat. Like this guy is an artist, you know, from top to bottom. All he cares about is the music, and you can see that. And we've known each other from Berkeley. And a few years ago, he was like, "Hey, I know you write stuff, and I've been starting to, you know, produce. Do you want to collaborate?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And at first I would bring him some lyrics, and then we would work together on music, and you know, kind of like work on it together. And interestingly enough, I write when I write songs, I write it on the piano, which is a very specific sound. And when he writes on the guitar, which is a completely different sound, because you're thinking of, you know, the chord progressions like in a guitar, what sounds cool. And I'm like, no, but this is great, and this is better because this is, but I know it on a piano. Or he has like a really cool like melody that sounds awesome on the guitar, where I would never think of because I come from piano. So that collaboration just created really great songs, that to a point that where I would come up to him and be like, "Here's a song and this is what I'm thinking," and then he would ask the right questions. He'd be like, "Okay, I hear this, but what do you want to say?" Or why this? Like what are you talking about in this specific sentence? And I would never ask myself these questions, at least not, you know, not the way that he would, in a way that makes it so clear. And then he would find the perfect melody to go along with it. So New Moon to me was a very, very boring song at first when I wrote it. And I wrote it as we were about a year, I think it was about a year after we moved to Columbus. And Columbus, Ohio, we were in a suburb of Columbus, is very different than city life, than Manhattan life. And that's exactly what this song is about. It's about what it feels like when you find yourself like in a completely different new situation, where it's not where you want to be. You don't physically want to be there, but at the same time, you have like your favorite person in the world telling you, "I know that you want to be somewhere else, but I promise that for as long as we're here, I will do my best to make sure that you're happy. And I'll cook you your favorite food, and I'll make you feel like a freaking winner. It's going to be amazing. Trust me until our next chapter starts." And that's literally what my husband would tell me almost every day. And so those were the words that I kind of had in mind, and I brought those to Danny, and he came up with this kind of "when January comes along," and I was like, that is so country. What? I don't know, man. I don't sing this. And he's like, hold on. I got a really good hook for it. And he was the one who kept pushing and said, "Check out the hook. The hook is great. Trust me." He said, "I know you hate the winter and wish we lived on an island." Like he had it all like plotted in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And
That part is funky.
it is funky, and that's the thing. And I did not see it like that at all. I had no vision for that song.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into the studio to record it almost a year ago to the day, in April of last year. And he was like, "Don't worry, I have an idea." And he brought in David, our drummer, phenomenal guy, David Berger. And he kind of started, you know, laying down the beat. And I was like, "Oh, that's what you're thinking." He's like, "Hold on, trust me, I have it in my head." And when that song was pretty much, he had like a rough mix and he sent it to me, I was blown away. I was like, I wanted to shelf that song forever. And now it's going to be our first single. That's how much I loved it. All credit is to Danny. He had that vision for that song.
Yeah, the song is great, and it's definitely funky, and it reminds me. There's lots of parts of it that remind me of like old school funk and soul. I definitely get like I think I was just definitely getting like maybe Isley Brothers in some spots, and you know, just like old school funk. And I was really digging that.
Me too. And that's the thing. It caught me by surprise because I did not see that. Like I did not see that coming. Danny was like, "Trust me, this is gonna be cool. It's gonna be up your alley." Because that's the cool thing about him. He has his his idea that's a little bit more folky, and then he knows that I'm a lot more soul. And like I said, he's a true jazz cat. Like he knows music, and he just has this great way of bringing it all together, all of them, all those elements together, and make it sound groovy and awesome and very clean and tight, and just really, really great production.
Yeah, it's the production sounds really good. I mean, it sounds very tight. Did you do it in a pro studio, or did he do it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What
Shout
studio
out.
did you record in?
Yeah, shout out to C. Landsbaum. We recorded it, I think the name, Sherwood Ridge Studios. That's the name. It is upstate. It's about 40 minutes out. And it's in his house. C. Landsbaum is a phenomenal guitar player also. He's even won a Grammy for tech. He has that little Grammy guy just looking at you the entire time while you're
Of course he does.
Of course he does. And he has this amazing studio that he built, and it's literally in the woods. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
upstate New York is such a
Yeah.
wonderful place for a
Amazing.
recording studio to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we recorded. I recorded my previous EP there as well.
Oh.
It's always such a good team. It's always
Cool.
these three, David on drums, Danny, who kind of like, masters everything, and C, who makes this feel like that. It's a good team.
I'll pay you one more compliment. The singing is great,
Thank you.
and there's also some really cool like soul singing towards the end of the song, where you start doing like some runs and stuff. It's like, ooh, there, it's tasty.
I'm really curbing my enthusiasm on that one, because one of my favorite things is to kind of like give it, like, there's an idea that you will hear on the album, but live, that's where I go crazy, because that's my favorite thing. Because you got to know that as a singer, you have about 50 ideas per melody. Like, oh, that's a great run, and that's a great run, and that's a great riff, and I'll do this, and that's an idea. And then you come up with the most kind of like what would complement the song the most as a recording. But then when you go live, like, it's open season.
Yeah, I mean, you read the room, you have different energy. It's a live experience. So it's you got to present something different. I love that.
Exactly.
You're so eloquent, and you got a lot of great. You're just very effusive. So you covered so many of our questions just in going, which is perfect because we can just listen. So you talked about your process with what was your collaborator's name again?
Danny and Lori.
Sounds like a fantastic collaborator for you.
Oh yeah, he's a great friend, and he's a really incredible musician, honestly.
So I guess the only thing I see on this list that would really transition to nicely is like your future plans, or if you have any, or ambitions.
Oh, wait, before we get to the future plans, can you just tell us who your favorite singers, your favorite artists are? I just love to hear. I just want, to be validated, I guess. So I want to hear you say, like, because I know we probably have a lot of similar favorites.
Okay.
Who's your favorite? Who are all your favorite artists, singers, piano players, keyboardists, all that stuff?
Yeah. So as a singer, I have a lot of respect to vocalists. So I would 100% have to say that Mariah Carey is the one who taught me how to sing. At 15 years old, this is how I learned how to do my runs. Listening to the Butterfly album and the Daydream, this is what got me started. Celine Dion was number 2, Whitney Houston. That's the holy trinity. Everyone knows you have Mariah, Celine, and Whitney. If you're a female vocalist, this is where you start.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you know Mariah did a cover of that song I think it's called Without You. Yeah. It was live, and she has a run. It's one of the greatest vocals I've ever heard of all time, where she has a run where she holds a note. It feels like she's holding a note for like a minute, and then she does a run all in one breath. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mariah is like really, really good.
Yep.
I still listen to that run where she goes,
Oh,
um,
oh. She starts there, and then
yeah,
you're talking
no,
about
no, 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 that one. I was like, after holding the note, she holds the note for an impossible amount of time. Like her lung capacity must be forever. And then she does like a run after that when 99.99% of all vocalists would be out of breath. She does a run after that, and then she digs in with that like growly thing. It's like one of the to me it's like one of the best moments in all of like vocal moments
so
in like
I could talk Mariah riffs for 5 hours straight. And that is a classic one, but honestly, I can think of an amazing run in almost any one of her greatest greatest hits and songs. Because she is that's what she does. She is a genius when it comes
yeah.
to to run. So these will be my three vocal like
Wait,
idols.
wait, let's talk about one Whitney one.
Whitney one.
Because Whitney is
Yes.
crazy.
Hold on. Keith, do you feel validated?
I do. I do. So
Okay, I can
do you
tell.
know I think it was the Merv Griffin show when she sings the song Home from The
Yes.
Wiz.
Yes.
Oh my God. I think it's one of the best vocal performances of all time.
I love her face and how easy everything just flows out of her. She is, and she knows. You can see in her eyes that she knows she's winning this. She's going to crush it. She's going to leave everyone breathless, and she knows. You can see it in her eyes of how how graceful everything just happens.
Effortless.
Yes.
Effortless.
Incredible. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so sorry to keep interrupting you, but I get really excited about those moments, a couple of moments that are just insane.
Of course.
So you said Whitney, Celine. I don't really know Celine that well.
Please do. You have to listen to some of the albums.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that as a recommendation.
Um,
And go on.
well, so aside from like really enjoying like riffs and like vocal athleticism, I really love harmonies. That's like one of the biggest things that really catches me. And so the next thing you'll have is Take Six and Boys to Men that just blow my mind. I mean, seriously, those years of being a teenager and listening to these bands and these vocalists really shaped everything that I am in my core as a vocalist. Like that's my real soul food. Take Six has a phenomenal track that is called Sunshine. And it is just phenomenal. Sunshine is an S-O-N shine. And it's just, oh my goodness, really, just listen to it. They are phenomenal. And when I was in Berkeley, we had Cedric Den, who's one of the members, come and do a bit of a masterclass. And the truth is that so many, vocal fanatics would ask them, why don't you have vocal sheets, like actual books so that people could also, how you have the music for their songs. And he said that they're so elaborate and complicated that most people don't even want to. That's how incredible Take Six are. So that really affected me back when I was, 15, 16, 17. Then Stevie Wonder. Because
Yeah, Stevie is probably in my top 5 of all musicians.
Yes, exactly. Michael Jackson. Michael is a big deal when it comes to production for me, because when you listen to some of his songs, you would think that he released them today. That's how great they are. Some of his songs, like Stranger in Moscow, for example, or They Don't Really Care About Us, from his History album, which was not like his incredible, most amazing album. It was still unbelievable. But my personal album from Michael Jackson is Dangerous. That's what I grew up on. The Dangerous album, phenomenal album. Then Joni Mitchell. That's where the singer-songwriter kind of like, I want to listen to storytellers in that way now. That's what I want. And that stuck with me. That was a big influence. And without even knowing, I didn't even know who he was, but John Mayer. It took me a second. I was like, wait a minute, what's this guy? What is this? Why is this song called Neon? And it's incredible. What's happening? And so I kind of moved in towards that. Until this day, he's one of my favorite songwriters because I can go through each and every one of his songs. There's always going to be one line that would really get you. And I would listen to songs and say, how can he say something that takes me 20 pages to write when I free write and I want to get a message across? And he does it in one verse. So accurate, so well done, and so simple, unbelievably simple. So those would probably be like phenomenal, like my top heroes here. And also, I can't believe I forgot the one and only who is really big for me, and that's Anita Baker.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. I don't really listen to that much John Mayer,
Ooh.
and I don't really haven't really listened to Anita Baker.
Well, her Rapture album is incredible. I mean, that's how you write some power ballads, and she's very jazzy. I mean, she's a lot more jazzy than the Holy Trinity we spoke about. Phenomenal. I would highly recommend listening to Anita Baker.
Well, I'll take that as a recommendation. Okay.
Yes,
Anita Baker.
incredible. I've even seen her live. She's great. She sounds exactly the same. I saw her live right before COVID hit, and wow, she sounded just like in the album from 1983.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, so these are the people.
Nice. I love that stuff. So fun.
It is.
Okay, so now we can move on to what's coming up from you.
What's coming up? Well, like I said, New Moon is just song number 1 out of a 6/7 track EP. It does not have a date yet because I will probably be releasing a few more singles before that. It has a working title. I still even don't know how I really want to call it, but I have a strong feeling it will be called Facets. And because every song is different and they're all me, so it's all just different angles of the same artist. All songs were written and composed by myself and Danny Ori, and he is the musical director of the entire. And that's your laundry, man. Your laundry.
Yeah.
Your laundry is done.
This is real life.
This is it. No, it's totally cool. I feel you. And yeah, and so there's going to be more music coming up. I think that in the summer there's going to be another single that I'm very hyped about. It's a little bit bossa nova, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we're going to continuing on.
Awesome. And there'll be live shows promoting the album too. Gonna play this music out.
Yep. Usually I perform by myself. Sometimes I have my full band with me. But either or, come. It's fun. I tell a lot of stories during the show.
This inspired one random question that's not on the list, but I just after asking about live, are you all about that live performance, the experience of performing live, or do you like working in the studio, or do you like them equally but in different ways?
I love them equally because they're both so different. They're each so different. Because in the studio, it's like your creative space. It's amazing. Like you do you, and that's what it is. But when it comes to a live show, and you read the room, you read the energy, and you would say things you didn't even think you would. Like there are stories that you want to share with them, or you want to, like I said, you would want to try a riff with them, or kind of like you have that urge to connect. Because at the end of the day, the reason I make music, aside from the fact that I'm honest, that I'm 100% sure that it chose me before I was born, like this was meant for me. Aside from that, my goal is to be a part of people's soundtrack. You know how like your life, like when you have your favorite singers and when you feel a certain way, you put a certain song, or when you do your laundry, there's a different kind of music playing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to be a part of people's lives, and I'm here to connect. And so the best thing is to be live and seeing them and talking to them and even asking questions, have like a conversation. And I guess I found how to do that through music.
Great answer. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new material as it comes out from the yet to be named album.
Yes.
So and we will, Keith and I always, of course, share our links on our social media to promote
Thank
artists on here. And if you send us links, right, Keith, we'll get them out there on all our websites and all that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I mean, like I said, we can talk for hours. We can talk music from here till Sunday, till next Sunday.
Yeah, we totally could. So yeah, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure having you on. You are a wonderful guest, and you are obviously a star. So
I don't know about that, but I do love to sing.
good.
That's it.
Yeah, so we will definitely, I think what we would love it if you would just keep us, we'll post out links for everything, and this show will come out, in a while once as we run through our schedule. So we'll make sure to promote you in the meantime, and then promote the show so people get a chance to hear you tell your story. But then going forward, please do not hesitate to share, put me put Dan on your mailing list.
Absolutely.
Or whatever, so that we, can keep up with what's going on with you. Always let us know, like when the new singles drop and stuff like that. We'll be quite happy to just, shoot it out, and then, have you on again, in a while.
For sure.
When you're ready to promote the full album or something, whatever is appropriate. But yeah, it was really nice, and you're a great guest. It was very relaxing for me and Dan.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. I'm here all week.
All right. Thanks, Michelle. Nice meeting you.
Thanks so
That's
much.
great. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Of course.